Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for taking the time to subscribe to this channel. All right, we've got a lot going on. The tropical waves are starting to hang together. I want to get to that, of course, and the chance of development as we go down the road. Plus, we've seen a flare-up in some of the rain in parts of Central America and in parts of the Western Caribbean as a whole, so covering that. But these tropical waves now are starting to hang together. This is the gradual transition into the active part of the hurricane season. So here we are in Dominica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and you see these tropical waves. There's one here, and then there's another one that came off the coast of Africa right behind it. Now in the short term, the good news is they are going to struggle. You see these kind of tropical impulses out there. Some of the rain and storms are going to run right into this very dry air, this orange and reddish shading you're seeing here. In that, there is some dust too. So thinking of you if you have any breathing problems. If you have some of the dust around, put that in the comments in your location because we've seen some thick areas of dust. But in the short term, these are going to run into some of the dust. But as they do, eventually it's going to add some more moisture to the atmosphere. The dust is going to start to mix out, the dry air is going to mix out, and the atmosphere is going to be more conducive for development once we get over the next couple of weeks. So here we are in the Caribbean. Let me start with this, and then I want to show you several computer models and what they're seeing out of these tropical waves. So we have a couple tropical waves out here. We have high pressure up here, acts as a blocker. Here we are in the Caribbean. This again, the European model, and I'm keeping an eye on the fronts back toward the United States. Let me just take you out in time here. Swing you through the weekend. This here is by the time we get into early next week. So this is on Monday. So here we are in the Caribbean and watching this area here. On Monday, still not developed. High pressure to the north, that's the blocker. That'll keep this moving to the west. And then keeping an eye on a few fronts across the U.S. As these fronts pass by, sometimes they can help grab these tropical systems and lift them up to the north. But let's just go out in time further. So again, this here is on Monday. Now ticking away as we go throughout the week. This is by the middle of the week, and we'll stop it here. This is by Wednesday. Here's Puerto Rico. Get back toward Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda. You see the extra rain here. Here's high pressure again, keeping this to the south. This extra rain here on Wednesday of next week could be a good thing. We need rain in the northeastern Caribbean. Not seeing signs of development yet. Watching these new tropical waves back behind it. But once we get past the middle of next week, conditions become conducive for some development. The water temperatures are warm. We're not going to see as much dust around. Of course, we have some land in between, so we'll see how this tries to develop. But the European model right now, next weekend, is trying to show a tropical system, either a tropical storm or a hurricane developing. We have another tropical wave here that would be moving in. This is about a week from now, week and a half from now, and another one coming off the coast of Africa. So the European model shows this tropical wave that comes across the Atlantic, and then once it gets closer to the Caribbean, it gradually develops and then heads toward the Gulf of Mexico, in which at that point, it could become a tropical storm or a hurricane. Now, the European model, yesterday it wasn't showing a whole lot. The day before it was. The day before that it wasn't. So it's still trying to get a handle on what's going on. Sometimes it shows something kind of swinging up a little bit more to the north sooner. Sometimes it shows something moving to the west. This is very early, but the European model is showing some development. I want to get into the big models in a second, more of those. Now, here's the American model. The American model has been pretty consistent, not showing a ton of development. So we're watching this area out here. We've got a couple tropical waves, and this is what we'll be tracking. Short term, no development. Just zooming ahead here. Let me take you out in time through the weekend into next week here with the American model. Now, as we go out in time, I'll stop the clock as we work our way into early in the week. This here is by Tuesday. The tropical wave we'd be watching would be right about here. So just like the European model, no big signs of development over the next 4 to even 5 days. Now, as this tropical wave, though, starts to work its way, this is when it would be encountering the dry air, and that's why there wouldn't be a whole lot of development. But once it gets past that point, let's get deeper into next week. You see the clock right there, late into next week as we approach next weekend. You can see here, this is by the time we get into Friday of next week, so a week from now, and you see the increased rain here. So the American model is also picking up on this tropical wave as a strong tropical wave. It's not developing it right now into a tropical storm. But you can see the flare-up of rain. Let me get you into next weekend. So a week and a few days from now, you see the extra rain that's right in here. So it would not be, it's starting to kind of hint at the possibility of some development. Right now, still doesn't show a tropical storm, but I look at the environmental conditions. They could be conducive for some further development by next weekend. So as this strong tropical wave moves across the Caribbean, once it gets either near the Bahamas or the Western Caribbean, that's where we could start to see some of the development. Again, the European model has it becoming a tropical storm or hurricane. The American doesn't, but the American model also does see this. So they're kind of both latching onto it. So we're going to see this tropical wave making its way somewhere over here. European model does have it eventually becoming a hurricane. The American model, the Canadian, and the German Icon model does not have it becoming a tropical storm. But the two bigger models, the European and the American, are really seeing this thing. So it does give some credence to the fact that I do believe there'll be some development that we need to watch carefully next week to see what happens. Too early to tell where something may go. Just watching this thing, it just came off the coast of Africa. Next name on the list is Debbie. So eventually, when there is a name system, the next name on the list will be Debbie, then Ernesto, and then Francine and Gordon after that. Then we swing over here, another name system. But this one on the Eastern Pacific side, which has a different set of names, it's kind of even hard to see right here. It is falling apart. That is the good news. This still officially is Tropical Storm Bud, but Bud is going to fall apart. The second name system on the Eastern Atlantic side or Eastern Pacific side and staying safely out to sea. So that one falling apart. Again, different sets of names in different parts of the world. Now watching this rain here, here's Costa Rica and Nicaragua. Some heavy rain, still that potential of some flooding and some thunderstorms firing up. Look at Cuba today, some thunderstorms. Trinidad and Tobago, we did have some of that flooding as expected in some spots yesterday. We'll still see some scattered showers. If they happen to be in some of the same spots, we could see some additional flooding. But some scattered showers today, highest chance though near Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. And then Jamaica, I'm watching this as we get into the weekend. We're going to see, and this is what we've been highlighting for a week together, we're going to see some of this rain building up. So we'll see how close it gets to the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. But Western Caribbean over towards Central America stays active. Otherwise, just some spotty showers and storms, Eastern Caribbean. But there's the rain. Still not certain how close it's going to be, but the rain chance should be higher in Jamaica by the time we get into Sunday. And then we'll just see how much more of this moisture moves in. But that also means a higher chance of rain Belize, Honduras, and then still Nicaragua south. And watching the scattered to widespread rain and storms parts of Guatemala and El Salvador. So it is going to get active in the Western Caribbean as we go throughout the week. Now, watching some of the increased wave heights like we've been talking about all week long. So this is today, a little bit bumpy at times. The Atlantic waters just to the east of the Caribbean and right through the Caribbean, but the seas are going to build Central and Western Caribbean once we work our way deeper into the weekend. This here is on Saturday, and you see on Sunday, this here on Sunday, some of the seas running about 3.5 meters, so upwards roughly about 10 feet, could be a little higher in spots. So building somewhat as we work our way through the weekend. Now, as the rain goes, it just depends on if you do get some thunderstorms like Cuba. I was showing you some storms possible today that could give us a quick 75 millimeters of rain or 3 inches of rain. Cayman Islands and Jamaica, note just to the south, that's where there's going to be a lot of rain, and that's what I was mentioning. For us in Jamaica, we're going to see just how close this gets, especially by Sunday. Same thing in the Cayman Islands. That would be the better chance of rain. And then even on Monday, some of that rain may spill into our direction. But Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands, down through Dominica, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, not a lot. It would just be a stray shower, otherwise mainly dry. I'm hoping that tropical wave eventually brings us some rain. Still that chance, better chance of scattered showers. Grenada south, hit or miss though. Grenada north, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, spotty shower. Still higher chance over toward Guyana, where we could see some totals the next 3 days of 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches scattered about as we get back toward Suriname. Now here's the heavier rain, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, eastern sections. That's where we could see an additional 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain in some spots with all that moisture that will be building as we swing through the weekend. And still central portions of Mexico, we're going to see that chance of some areas of flooding. Now, showers trying to depart late today. Newfoundland will still hang on to some as we get into late today in the evening. Looking at the Atlantic region of Canada, then as we work our way into the weekend, generally looking pretty good. This is on Saturday, getting a break from some of the unsettled weather and flipping over into Sunday, same thing. Just watching some of that moisture just to the south though, but looking good as we get into that upcoming weekend. So back to Jamaica, rain chance about 40%, but Sunday, that is the day I do believe later in the day, some of that moisture may start to creep in. I'm going to highlight that more tomorrow, how much rain we could get Sunday into Monday. Cayman Islands, 30 to 40% chance the next few days. Watching that area down to the south. Rain chance scattered about as we get toward Trinidad and Tobago, monitoring some spots of flooding that will be a potential. But we get to the north, Barbados, St. Lucia, the rain chance, it's not very high. Grenada, 20 to 30% chance, 20 to 30% chance. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, rain chance isolated in Martinique. Passing shower or storm possible, Dominica over toward Guadeloupe as we swing through our weekend, and then even drier to the north. Antigua and Barbuda, enjoy the sunshine. We do need some rain. That tropical wave, as I was showing you right at the beginning of this video, will eventually bring us a better chance of rain once we get into next week, and that includes St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, over toward Anguilla and St. Bart's. Through the weekend, generally dry, not a lot. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. Rain chance 20% in Puerto Rico. Could get a thunderstorm or two. U.S. British Virgin Islands, low rain chance. We'll see some of those scattered showers and storms possible, though, in parts of the Bahamas. Rain chance stays pretty small. Turks and Caicos, and an isolated shower or storm in the Dominican Republic. And we could get a passing shower or a pop-up storm as we get into Haiti. If you are dry, it is very hot. Belize, though, rain chance getting higher, especially with that moisture from the south that will be headed our way. Rain chance about 20 to 30%. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. There's a slight chance of a passing shower as we get through the weekend. Still a 60 to 70% chance in Guyana, 40 to 50% chance in Suriname. And then watching out for scattered storms, especially today. Central and eastern Cuba, Costa Rica, Panama, rain chance on the high side. Nicaragua, especially eastern sections, watching out for the flooding. Generally the same thing as we get toward Honduras. We'll see that rain building up to the north. Guatemala and El Salvador, 50 to 60% chance of rain right through the weekend, and about a 60% chance as we get toward Mexico City with the possibility of flooding. 40% chance in the Yucatan of Mexico, 30 to 40% chance northern Colombia, 30 to 40% chance in northern Venezuela, and over toward Bermuda. We could catch a couple showers with the tail end of a front by the time we get into Sunday. So strong tropical wave. There's actually a couple out there off the coast of Africa. There will be some development possible next week. In the meantime, watching the areas of dust, the low air quality, and the very hot conditions, and then Tropical Storm Bud on the eastern Pacific side, which is falling apart. Should fall apart over the next 24 hours. So lots to now monitor as we go forward. I'll be watching everything with you as we go throughout the weekend. Please be safe and have a good day ahead.